everybody. Welcome to another edition of NCW, also known as New Comic Wednesday. If you haven't been with us before, we chat for a few minutes every Wednesday about Zenescope's newest releases. If you don't know who I am your NCW host, Amber, and it is Christmas time. Only a few weeks left to get all of your last minute shopping done for all of the holidays, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, New Year's, etc. So you're definitely going to want to hear about today's releases so you can pick them up for your loved ones, because how else do you celebrate the most joyous time of the year without murder, which is what we do very, very well here at Zenescope. But to find our newest releases, you can head to our website, head to zenescope.com and press new releases. You can also find them online digitally at Comixology or at your local comic shop. To make sure that you never miss an NCW, you never miss any a VCon, you never miss a coffee with Casey and Noah, you never miss a movie club, you never miss any of our streams, everything's on, etc. Make sure that you like and subscribe and you push that notification bell. Thank you, Robert. I am sorry that I'm a little off and I can hear my verbiage when I'm talking. I have really bad vertigo right now. And so I'm just spinning while I'm talking. So if things don't make sense that I'm saying, it's only because I'm thinking very, very hard. But today we have three incredible releases that we will be talking about. Of these three releases, I will bring on one of the writers who is fairly new to our team. And we'll talk through some, strategy behind the story, etc. But I will dive into those other two releases beforehand. And what better way to kick off our first release today, which I would say Belle Deep Freeze is, than talking about seeing Belle in Dubai. So I literally just got off a plane 2 hours ago, landed from Dubai. It was a 17-hour flight home. And it was crazy because I went to the bookstore when I was out there in Burj Khalifa. If you guys don't know what the Burj Khalifa, now I'm even pronouncing it wrong again, vertigo. It's the world's largest, tallest building in the world. There we go. And at the bottom of it is the Dubai Mall. And so you can go to a bunch of fun shops and everything like that. And one of the bookstores there, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go and see if they carry Zenescope or recently, I had a friend publish a book through Scholastic, and it was in the new releases, so I was very excited. I sent her a picture of her book on the new release shelf. But so I went back to the comics, and I did see a few Zenescope releases, including Oz, Robin Hood, a Wonderland board game was there, and our own Belle graphic novel. And so I shouted that out in the VIP group, but I also shouted out to Dave. And how incredible is it knowing that as a publisher, your books are seen worldwide, right? There are people in Dubai right now who have the opportunity to read and buy Zenescope. And quick side note, Dubai was incredible. I love Dubai, once in a lifetime chance. I flew business class, so I slept very, very well, and it was just incredible. I cannot rave enough about Dubai, but the top thing of Dubai is the fact that you can go to Dubai Mall and you can go buy Zenescope comics, and I feel like it'd be really cool. I know that we have a couple of international fans. Like I know we have somebody from Australia, from the UK, etc. But it'd just be cool, I feel like, if people shouted out maybe the craziest place that they ever saw Zenescope, right? Like what area in the world did they see that publisher there? Because it's just so incredible to think that fans from all over the world have opportunities to access stuff that you guys have opportunities to. But that was my very long rant about seeing our stuff international. So today our first release is Belle Deep Freeze. It is $5.99 in our web store. It has 4 beautiful covers, which Casey will pop up right now, written as always by our own Dave Franchini. So here are 4 just incredible covers highlighting, the villains, Belle, etc. I'll read the synopsis quick. Belle has been a beast hunter her entire life, and during that time, she has made many enemies, but none as heartless as the Winter Maiden, the seeming goddess of ice. Now, nearly a year after their first encounter, a storm is coming for Belle and her loved ones. But will Annabelle DeMarco be able to ride this blizzard out, or will she succumb to the icy grip of death? 40 pages, again, all 4 covers. As always, tell me what your favorite cover is in the comments. Fantastic read, as always, for Belle. If you guys don't know, Belle is, I'd say, one of the most popular characters, especially amongst our female readers. Every time I go to a convention, I have a lot of female readers that are like, I actively read Belle. I very much resonate with her character. And she's just fantastic, fantastic read. As I mentioned, she fights the very heartless Winter Maiden. It is a cold as ice issue. And we have had some incredible Belle stories this year brought by Dave. And he's just done such a fantastic job with the character. There is always some sort of Hershey plug in there that I think the readers will very much enjoy. But again, Belle, Deep Freeze, check it out. Our second release today is Grimm Spotlight Red Agent Friendly Fire. $5.99, also in our web store. And there are 3 incredible covers. Again, Casey popped those up, and you guys can tell me what your favorite cover is. I really enjoy how there's like this, again, we're in the snow background, but the kickoff of this story, I think, takes place on the beach, which kind of made me laugh. I was like, oh, and I get where we were going there, etc. But I was like, oh, this will be such a tropical story. I'm so excited to read about all the tropicalness, and then it ends up being just nothing of the sort. But you get a good sight of, Red Agent not doing this on her own, following a little bit more of her love story, as well as getting a highlight on a very, very badass villain that you can see on cover B. So you're really going to enjoy this story, 32 pages. Red Agent, really only gets about 1 or 2 storylines every single year. So if you miss anything on her character, it's pretty easy to catch up, but it might be hard to remember where you last were in her storyline, because we just only really drop her in spotlight stories, or she'll appear in other character storylines. So again, today, Red Agent, I know I'm going kind of fast, but we have 3 releases, and I want to make sure that I get to our interview so we can talk a little bit about the most wonderful time of the year. Again, that is our last release today, which is Grimm Tales of Terror Quarterly, our 2022 holiday special. It is $8.99 in our web store. There are 4 incredible covers. And as always, tell me what your favorite cover is. There are so many covers to choose from. There's 11 covers today. We have 2 stories that have 4 covers, and then 1 story that has 3 covers. And the holiday special is just one of my favorite reads every single year that Zenescope puts out. You've heard me say it hundreds of times, but Christmas horror is my bread and butter. And it is so much fun to see the 2 collide. And it's interesting how we always get new stories, creepy characters, and Keres, in these storylines, you don't always get an appearance from her, but we see like a very heavy appearance as she's the narrator of this storyline, which was very, very fantastically written. So I'll dive into the synopsis, and then I'll bring our guest on today. It's the most wonderful time of the year, unless you've put yourself on the Keres, the Goddess of Death's naughty list. Featuring 4 tales of holiday-themed horror that is guaranteed to turn your white Christmas red. David wrote that. They did a fantastic job. So without further ado, I will bring on our writer and guest today, Honor Vincent. Hi.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. No vertigo, so.
I know. I keep thinking, and then I'm spinning, and I'm thinking, and I'm like, that's not right.
Yeah, you're doing great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I'll dive right in. You pitched us at New York Comic-Con last year, so in 2021, a short story that we ended up featured. So let's just talk about how had you heard of Zenescope before you had pitched this? Is this something you just found out when you were at New York, etc.?
Yes, I had definitely heard of you guys before. I actually went and dug up some old trades.
Oh, cool.
Like one of the first. No, my background's blurry. So
I see Wonderland.
And it's the first trade of Wonderland. Yeah, I mean, I have been reading you guys since like college. And I think the Grimm Tales of Terror are my favorites. So that was really cool. When I heard there was a pitch tank happening, I was like, well, I have to try. Surely I'm going to be so nervous, but I have to try.
So how did you come up with the concept of your story for the pitch tank?
Yeah, so I actually went back and like read some of my favorite shorts from like the Tales of Terror and kind of thought I think so the one that I pitched at Comic-Con, I think it was like a little too sci-fi to fit in with anything. But thankfully, the panel liked it enough to, that I was one of the finalists and they sent me a brief for the Flair story for the back to school
Yep.
quarterly. And I saw that and I was like, yeah, yes, I want to write that one. So yeah, I came up with my pitch really. The pitch at Comic-Con was definitely born out of some like, oh, we've all been locked inside for like a year and like what would happen if the world had suddenly totally changed around us and like we go outside for the first time and everything's kind of haywire. So that was that pitch, which is in a cooler somewhere. But
so then yes, you wrote back to school and you wrote, just for some context for our viewers, if you guys want to go back and watch the interview that I did with Francisco, who was the winner at New York Comic Con, you can check that out. But everybody wrote individual stories. So Honor, what was it like to write an individual story for that and then take over an entire storyline for this one?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little scary because it's a lot of pressure. And I wanted to, I mean, especially like Keres, I wanted to do her justice because she's so cool. So, and that's a character with a lot of backstory. And like, I wanted to be true to who she was and also knit everything together. And so, yeah, the first story, it felt more like, okay, this is kind of like showtime. I'm going to do the best I possibly can here. It was a ton of fun. I think like Dave Wall's super supportive and, like pushes back kind of, I think, in all the right places. And I definitely have learned a lot from, working with him. But yeah, the holiday book was like, yeah, just a whole different animal because it's like, okay, now it's four of them. There's kind of, we're finding like an overarching theme to kind of knit them all together. Kind of what's, I had never written that thread story obviously before either. So that was like another interesting challenge. So yeah, it was like the back to school times 50.
David Wall is a fantastic, fantastic editor in chief. And actually at New York, he gave very, very blunt feedback. And there was at one point I turned to him and I was like, David, these are aspiring writers. Okay. They don't work for Zenescope yet. I'm like, maybe you could say that, a little bit nicer. And he's like, why did I come off mean? And I was like, you just say things very blunt. But it also helps you grow and learn, right? So before you had written for us, what other areas had you, like, were there other publishers? Were you self-published?
Yeah, so I had been self-publishing one series, which is like a historical fantasy series that I kickstarted. And then I have another series that's coming out with Scout that's like near future sci-fi. And then I've written a bunch of shorts too for 2000 AD, which is a British comics magazine, which is awesome. So they publish, Judge Dredd and all that good stuff. And that was interesting too, because, this book, I got the opportunity to kind of stretch and, do these longer pieces. And 2000 AD, what I'd been doing like right before that was these like, you got to get everything into 4 pages, which is really hard. So this was, I said before, it was like a lot of pressure, but it was also a lot of fun to, okay, now like I've got some room to work with. So that was cool.
That's awesome. I saw Casey just drop a comment, and we weren't sure whether I was going to be able to host or not today, so Casey might jump in, but it seemed like she really, really loved one story and wanted to let you know.
Thank you, Casey. Yeah, that one, that was fun. And I will say too, so I got prompts from David's Wall and Franchini. And, I really like writing from a prompt. I think it's a lot of fun. It kind of lets your gears start turning if you have like a little bit of a constraint to work with. So that one was one, I think that was the one I actually kind of started with because it was the one that I was like, ooh, this is a good one. Like this is going to be kind of a fun one to write. And then I bounced around a little bit, but
I love that. Fantastic. Casey, yeah, if you have any comments that you want to drop or any questions that you want to drop, feel free because I know you wrote this. But let's talk a little bit about the story. So there are 4 stories. It kicks off very, very well. It kicks off kind of with this interesting, at first I was like, is this a love story? Is this not a love story? I don't really know where this is going. So which out of the 4 stories did you enjoy writing the most?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, so I keep coming back to the Nutcracker because I think, again, like kind of having the constraint of the Nutcracker story, but it's, a sort of dream world, not to spoil anything, was fun because you can riff and you've got that kind of like structure that makes sense. Like it's a timeless story for a reason. And it resonates with people for a reason. So that was a lot of fun to kind of like put twists on. And it's something like I think long tradition at Zenescope is right. You're putting twists on these wonderful timeless stories. So I think like that one was probably the most fun, though tight almost tie. I think it's the second story in the collection, The Ornament. I think that one, the breakdown of of action, I don't know quite how to refer to it, kind of the climax of that one is fun and gory and was a lot of fun to write too.
That's awesome. Yeah, there was a scene in the first one, and there was a lot of blood, and I love when we get to see a character, like you see, like we do something where you see the character and something happens, the bad part of the story happens, and you're like, will they show us what the person who potentially died looked like? And then I love when they unveil what they look like, and then you're like, yes, the blood and gore that I really want. Are you like a horror fan outside of this, or this is just what you're writing for Zenescope?
I love horror. Yeah, that is probably one of my favorite things to favorite genre besides maybe sci-fi to watch, read, write, anything. And if you can like mix them up, all the better. But yeah, I love because you can be funny. You can like there's so much, like I said, there's so much room in it to do different things. And I think those are like kind of the most elemental stories. Like it's about fear and it's about, sometimes it's about victory. And like, I think, these stories are about people getting comeuppance, which is always fun.
Were you a fan of Christmas horror before this?
So yeah, it was funny you said that earlier. And I was thinking like, what is Christmas horror? Like, I'm trying to think of like what is in that genre. And I think the juxtaposition of it is so interesting because it's unexpected. Like it's like, right, you don't think about Christmas and then think about horror. I haven't seen it yet, but my parents have been raving about Violent Night, which I think is probably right up my alley. So yeah, I think it's like, I didn't quite put it together that was like a subgenre before, but yeah, I think it's pretty great.
Black Christmas in general, like horror Christmas is a huge subgenre. So, we did it first here, which we love to say, which is Krampus, but obviously there was a Krampus film that came out. Every year there's some sort of horror movie that comes out around Christmas. I talk about it all the time on here. Black Christmas 1974 is my all-time favorite horror movie. I watch it every year on Christmas. And so that's something I love about Zenescope is, it's so funny because people are so wrapped up in like Christmas being the most wonderful time of the year. And then that there are so many other depressing things that people have to deal with during the holidays. And, horror kind of takes people for a loop. You're like, oh, how can I ruin what is going on so well? Like, by people being selfish and that being resonated in these stories, or people being greedy or whatever it is.
Yeah, and that kind of came up when I was trying to think about the thread story and what I could have like Keres say about Christmas time and winter. And she says like most people think I'm more of a Halloween girl, but this is my favorite season because it's the season where things get cut down, like it's nothing weak survives, and and I think that's kind of where all of the holidays around like coming together and being with family and like celebrating that you're celebrating like we made it, we're alive. Like this used to be the really horrific season for people for thousands of years. Yeah.
There's another like other subgenre that is just holiday horror, right? Like there's always some sort of Easter gory movie, Thanksgiving for Thanksgiving. Halloween obviously has its own. New Year's Eve, there's April Fool's Day. There's always some sort of holiday. Mother's Day and Father's Day have variations of horror movies. Casey just brought up, we do something called movie night or movie club, which we do one time a month. And Silent Night, Deadly Night was our movie from last year, I believe, or it was last year. Yeah. And it was, it's not that great of a movie. Lena Quigley is really fantastic. I've met her in person a couple of times, and she's always like a lot of fun in the movies. But Christmas horror movies can also just not be good in general, right? They're like, oh, just like Santa will murder somebody and it will be like, that'll be fine. And the storylines often get lost, just not at Zenescope. The storylines are always here. So what's also funny is that Dave came on a couple of weeks ago and teased that you were going to be writing a lot more stuff. He came on, he's like, oh, we talked about you. And then he mentioned, oh, I don't even think she knows yet that she's going to be writing more things. So do you have anything else in the works for us yet, or you're not sure?
So Dave emailed a little while ago about the Valentine's. Speaking of holiday horror, the Valentine's Quarterly. So I'm not sure about that, but it's funny because he emailed me and I was like, yes, I absolutely would love to write something for that. And then I kept thinking about story ideas. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to send him a couple just in case. I know you probably have them all outlined, but so I sent him those, but that's very exciting. I would love to, keep writing as much as you'll have me.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. I love all of our writers. I get very excited though when we have female writers, just because we are predominantly female characters. We have the most female characters in all of comics. So I love to have that opportunity to talk to female writers, because then it comes up with a much more personal tone. So any parting words, anything that you might have hidden in the stories, a shout out that you might have given somebody or anything like that?
There's some fun song lyrics because I was going through, thinking it's a mall at Christmas time. So what is ubiquitous is that damn music. So there's some little like Easter eggs kind of for the stories in the musical SFX in the book. I think like the art team on this book did such a good job, and like hiding little Easter eggs. Like there is one panel that's one of my favorites where Keres' sweater, it goes from looking like a reindeer, as she's kind of hanging out in the mall with the lights on, and then she's in shadow and it looks like a skull, and it's like, that's so good. And I did not write that in, so I take no credit for that, but that's a beautiful little moment. And two, I think if you go back in the Nutcracker story to Marie's room at the beginning, you'll see some familiar faces too.
Interesting. Yeah, that's something Dave and David do really, really, really well, is they fit Easter eggs into stories. They fit other characters into other character stories. And I don't know how much you might read Belle, etc., but Dave loves turtles. So Hershey, the way he develops how Hershey is going to be in a storyline, I wonder how much time he spends on that. Like, I wonder if he sits up at night and he's like, how can I make sure that Hershey has the biggest impact, even though he's only going to be on the page for like one part of this story?
Yeah, right. The proportion of time spent on that but if it's worth it, it's worth it.
Well, it was so lovely having you on, Honor, and I hope that we get to have you on in a couple more weeks or a couple more months as you work on more Zenescope stuff. Likewise, yeah, this was so much fun. And thank you. And I'm glad Dubai was great. That's so cool that the books are over there. Awesome. Yeah, no, it was, I went into, and I wasn't really sure because Dubai is obviously in the Middle East, which is very conservative. And so I didn't know what was going to be okay and what wasn't going to be okay. I will tell you that all three books that were on the shelves had more conservative Zenescope covers. So that made a lot of sense. But some of the more risque ones I did not see there. And that was the same for all publishers, even anime and manga. A lot of things were censored. So I wasn't sure if I'd actually see us over there. So it was very exciting to see us over there. Wonderful. Well, it was lovely having you on, and I will have you on very, very soon. Thank you. Bye. So again, we have 3 incredible releases today. I really just want to shout out Antonio. What's up? I haven't gotten to talk to you for so long. Go Cowboys. They had a horrible game. And that's another thing I'll just briefly talk about is the time difference in Dubai. So right now in Dubai, what is it? Like, I think it's after midnight over there. Yeah, because it's a 9-hour difference. And so to watch the NFL games was very challenging because I would watch at very challenging hours. And so I was checking up, I think it was 3 a.m. I'm at this like hookah, they call it something different over there, bar. And I'm like, oh my God, the Cowboys are losing to the Texans. What is going on right now? And I'm like, this is it. This is the beginning of the end for us, as we always do in December. But yeah, they barely won that one. Super embarrassing. But very fun watching the NFL over there. Very fun watching the World Cup. Obviously, Qatar is very close to Dubai. And so a lot of people were traveling in between. And it was very interesting to hear. Like, that was the topic of all of my dinner conversations. I went to dinner with at least like 6 or 7 or 8 new people. And the topic was always, who are you rooting for in the World Cup? It was very exciting. But again, to get back on track. So today we have 3 incredible releases. As I mentioned, Zenescope is in Dubai, and I wonder where else it is in the world, because I know it is many, many places. I actually own 2 versions, as you guys have pointed out before, international, like where am I going? Foreign language, there we go, books. So I know it's in many countries, but it's always interesting to see where it is and, you know, what other fans we have out there. So incredible. But our 3 releases today were Belle Deep Freeze, which is $5.99 in the web store right now. It was also our Grimm Tales of Terror Quarterly 2022 Holiday Special, $8.99, which we just talked to Honor Vincent, our writer who came from our writer content panel at New York Comic Con, not this past New York, but the one before. And our final release today was Grimm Spotlight Red Agent Friendly Fire, which is $5.99 in our web store. So again, 3 incredible releases. Next week's release is Myth and Legends, Blood of the Gods. And so, we have a couple, and Oz Return of the Wicked Witch, number 2 of 3. So I know that storyline's going on, but excited to talk a little bit more about both of those stories very, very, very soon. Next week will be awesome. I don't know who's going to be our guest yet, but I'm sure we will have a guest. Oh, and speaking of, NCW is going to be at a different time next week. Should mention that. So our VCon is next Wednesday and Thursday. And Casey pointed out that is during NCW. And while I would love to compete with our VCon, we all know I would lose. So our NCW next week is tentatively planned for 11:30 a.m. since the VCon will be kicking off at 1, and the show's usually somewhere around a half an hour. So, so make sure that you tune into our VCon next week. We are coming to a close on the year, which means that the NCW collectible cover is coming to a close. We are on our last cover of the holiday. Casey, if you want to pop up what that holiday cover is, thank you. You did before you asked. And our lovely winner this week of our Alice in Wonderland cover is, I like to look forward to this, Betty. Yay! Congratulations, Gary, on winning our December NCW collectible cover. Yay, confetti, or also snow. I was just thinking, I'm like, wow, I kind of just put something on. I didn't really do my hair or makeup like I normally do. And I'm laughing because I see Casey in the background and she's wearing a jacket because she's in Philadelphia. And I'm wearing this tropical dress because I'm in Miami. And I'm like, wow, I could have wore something way more festive. So I'm still on Dubai, Miami mode. My bad. Another thing, we send you the cover. So if you win, we usually have your address already in the system and we just send it on over to you. So that is how you get the cover. This week's stipulation for the NCW Collectible December cover, join us in the first night of the holiday VCon next Tuesday at 6 p.m. for a chance to win. So make sure that you hang out with us next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern, etc. For the last VCon of the year. The very last VCon of the year. That's crazy. And I'm wondering, I'm going to look too. I will tell you that I took a couple of meetings out there, and there is a Zenescope artist out there that is involved in a project out there. And I wonder if he has a cover. So I'm excited to see. So I'm excited for more of that too. I'll probably talk about with that after it's unveiled, probably come January. Other things that are going on, again, movie club is coming up very, very soon. Gremlins. December 22nd, just days before Christmas, the last movie club of the year, Gremlins, a fantastic, fantastic Christmas horror movie. Another one that you can add to your list, Honor, of subgenres right there. Gremlins, Christmas horror. Other things that are coming up, let's get ready for 2023. And what better way to gift somebody than with a VIP membership or to go to the VIP event in New Orleans in March, which is only we're January, February, March, three months away. You've 3 months away, less than 3 months away till our VIP event. Those are our 3 incredible guests at the event. It's going to be a lot of fun. There'll be activities Friday and Saturday. And what a great opportunity to meet some of your favorite writers, your favorite Zenescope staff members, your favorite artists, as well as meeting people that you chat with all the time in the VIP face group and on the VCons, etc. You have a wonderful chance to talk to like-minded people, and it's very, very awesome. So you'll have a great, great time. Coffee with Casey and Noah coming to a close very, very soon. There's only a couple more Mondays. I don't even know how many NCWs there are left of the year. So let's see. There's 2 NCWs left of the year. And I think there might only be 1 or maybe 2 Coffee with Casey and Noahs, because I see it ends on that December 26th, which I believe the office is closed. So stay tuned. The 28th will be my next. So the 21st, like I mentioned, we'll be joining you guys at 11:30 a.m. The 28th will be back to regular time. So yeah, well, that was it with this week's NCW. Like I mentioned before, head to Zenescope.com, check out some of the details. I know we do the 12 days of Christmas. I know we do a lot of promotions during the holidays. Like I mentioned, I had Mark on a couple of weeks ago. So if you want to check out that interview, go back and check it out. It literally, I think, was a week ago. I'm just very on a weird timeline right now because I've just been in another country. And so now I can't remember anything that happened a week ago. And Casey just dropped where you can find our new releases, as always, in the comments. So finally, tune in every Wednesday. So next Wednesday at 11:30, and then every Wednesday after that for 3 p.m. Eastern for NCW here at Zenescope, where you come for the covers, but you stay for the stories. I will see everybody next Wednesday at 11:30 a.m.